If you didn't know, I'm a pretty big fan of Vulfpeck. Probably not surprising. Recently, they posted a video where they took the footage and studio recording of their 2016 song Deantown and framed it side by side with their live performance of the same song at Madison Square Garden in late 2019. They did this cool thing where they panned the studio recording all the way to the left channel and the live recording to the right channel. They sped up the studio version a little bit to match the tempo they took at the MSG show, keeping the pitch the same, of course, but otherwise they're completely untouched as far as I can tell. And when you listen to it, everything is perfectly spot on. Every percussion hit, every articulation, every dynamic from the whole band is right on the money. There are virtually no performance discrepancies between the two. It's incredible how centered the whole thing sounds as a result. It sounds like they double tracked. It's really just a testament to their musicianship. That's a level of consistency that we should all strive for in our music making. But I'm not here to just nerd out about that video. It has occurred to me that the song Deantown is an absolute masterclass in rhythmic articulation. And what I mean by that is how the rhythm of a given passage of music dictates how you play each note in regards to dynamics and articulation. Music theory geeks, myself included, spend so much time talking about notes and harmony, but for some reason rhythm is only interesting to explore when it's complicated and not in 4/4. But this sort of exploration is important because for many the finer nuances of rhythm are difficult to understand. So we're going to break it down and see what we can learn from it. If you've never heard the song before, go listen to it. It's short and sweet and totally sick. First, let's break down the general structure. There are 4 chords that loop for the whole song. They are F sharp minor, C sharp minor 11, B minor with an E in the bass, and B7. The keyboardist, Woody Goss, who wrote Deantown, voices the chords so that F sharp is the top note for all of them. Pretty much exactly like this. And the chord changes every 2 bars. We get a steady boom, ch, in the kick and snare throughout, and it only breaks from that for fills at key moments. And the hi-hat gets a steady thing going on the whole time as well. In the intro, Joe Dart, the bassist, plays straight repeated 16th notes on each chord. Then we get the riff. Here, Joe plays this absolutely brilliant, long 16-bar bass melody that goes over 2 full cycles of the chord progression. Then it repeats, and the guitar doubles it. Corey Wong plays that part. Then there's a middle section where they all just kind of jam a few times through the chord progression. And then the melody comes back and the whole band plays it one time through in unison to the end. That main melody is what we're going to break down. We'll just go a little bit at a time. First, we've got this 3-note pickup with a rundown to a short F sharp on beat 2. Straight 16ths, everything's very on the beat. The emphasis here should be on the D sharp in the pickup and then on the E on the downbeat. Da dia dia da da da. Both of these are non-chord tones and they're approached by a leap of a third from the previous note. The E is also on beat 1, which is the strongest beat. This all implies that they receive more emphasis. The F sharp on beat 2 is clearly the target in this opening gesture. Makes sense because it's the root of the chord. This note shouldn't get a ton of emphasis because it's on a weaker beat, but it should be played a little short, maybe not precisely an 8th note as I've transcribed it. There's a sort of general expectation that whenever you have an 8th note followed by an 8th rest, you should shorten its length a little. This makes it very pointed. Next gesture starts on beat 3 with these higher A's that are played really staccato. The first is on the beat and the second is on the of the beat and is followed by a rest on beat 4, so it's syncopated. 2E into 3E into 4. Syncopated notes can either anticipate the beat or react to the beat. Either way, you almost always give syncopated notes a little more dynamic emphasis. Then we get 3 16th notes leading to beat 1 in the next measure. In beat 1, we get a 16th note E followed by a dotted 8th note F sharp. The shorter E certainly gets the emphasis here. It's short, it's a non-chord tone, it's on the downbeat, it jumps up to the longer F sharp, so you gotta give it the energy it needs to do that. Then it does basically the same thing again, slight rhythmic variation. Something you'll continue to see as we go through this is that the melody is always targeting chord tones. Mostly the roots of each chord. And the notes that get the most emphasis are typically non-chord tones that resolve into those chord tones. A lot of the same rules will apply here. Notes on beats 1 and 3 will be given a little more dynamic emphasis, as will syncopated notes that anticipate the next beat. In the second measure here, we've got this super syncopated thing with staccato notes walking up to E on beat 3. That E is played for its full duration as it runs into the next gesture. Short, short, long. The melody starts to get more excited here, a lot more leaps. It opens up into a slightly higher register. It's generally busier. Overall, this is played a little louder. Again, same rules of emphasis on beats 1 and 3 apply here, as well as emphasizing syncopated notes. Another thing is notes approached by a leap. The melody leaps up and down a fifth here. So the higher B should get some kind of dynamic emphasis. It's got to be dika-dikata. It can't be daka-dikata. That doesn't work. Then in the next measure, we've got this chromatic walk up and a leap up to an E, the highest note we've had yet. It's also syncopated, so that's got to be played with some snap. 3, 4. Also a little crescendo through the chromatic bit. Generally, when you're ascending in pitch, you gradually get louder, and when you descend, you gradually get softer. That's just kind of a natural thing to do. Then we get a short, short, long thing again. Could be a recurring idea. Man, it's almost like Woody Goss is thinking like a composer. Big, quick arpeggio down from the high B, right on the downbeat. That's got to be hit with some juice. Lots of syncopations in this first measure. Da-da-da, dee-da-da, dee-da. Da-da. But the second measure is very on the beat and targets that F sharp on the third beat. They play that and the D sharp before it staccato, giving that pointed effect again. 4. Next we loop back to F sharp minor for the second half of the melody. This leap at the beginning is just super swanky. That high B needs to sing. That's the highest note in the gesture. It happens on the E of beat 1. This would be a case of a note reacting to a beat. And next measure is another syncopated thing, all on a low F sharp. We've had this and of 1, E of 2, 3 rhythm a couple times already. Seems to be a thing. 3, 4, 1, and E, 3. What happens on the next chord is great. They play this a bit quieter, just the held C sharp, and then they kill it in the next measure and stay silent for a bit. It's so clever. You have this sudden contrast with the longest sustained note we've had yet. They further emphasize that contrast by playing it quietly and more subdued, and then they have this long silence in the next measure. It breaks up the texture so well. Going into the next measure, we have a callback to the opening rhythm. This right here is basically the same as that opening lick. Then we get this horse galloping thing walking up, played real staccato. Very on the beat emphases going through here, and then it leads right into the next measure. And then the last line gets real busy to get us ready for the turnaround to the top. Some syncopations again, even within the straight 16th notes in the second measure here. This little 3-note thing that starts with a pull-off starts on beat 2 and repeats on the of beat 2, so it's kind of staggered in the meter. This implies a shifted accent pattern that isn't straight on the beats. That way it's not just like daka 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 daka. Instead it's more like daka 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 or something. 4. And then it runs right back to the top. And that's it. It's a genius melody, very vocal, full of contrast, tons of character. It's no surprise it's one of Vulfpeck's most popular tunes. So all the little expressive nuances I described track with how Vulfpeck consistently performs it. Every little thing they do is intentional. There's really not a lot of wiggle room in there to express the notes any other way What have we learned? Beats 1 and 3 typically receive more emphasis. Syncopations should be given more emphasis, especially if they are followed by a rest on a beat. If syncopations are followed by a rest on a beat, they should also be played staccato. Notes that are approached by a leap of a third or larger should generally be played with more emphasis. The bigger the leap, the bigger the emphasis. And non-chord tones receive more emphasis, especially when they resolve 2 chord tones. These are all nearly universal fundamental rules of interpreting music. As with any rule in music, there are a bajillion exceptions, but these prove themselves to be true time and time again. And I can already see the comments coming. Why are you analyzing it so much? Just listen, it's the best way to learn. Just feel it, man. If it sounds good, it is good. End of story. I don't disagree. Ultimately, yes, with anything pertaining to rhythm, you have to feel it. But have you considered that maybe some people have a hard time feeling it? Maybe they need a deeper understanding to even wrap their heads around what's going on? We don't analyze music because we're trying to split the atom or because math gets the dopamine going. We analyze music because we're trying to play music better. And I guarantee you that any musician you idolize is doing all of these things in their playing. They're feeling these things. They're not actively thinking about them as they play. Not a chance. But what if you have a hard time feeling it? What are you supposed to do? Keep walking into a brick wall? No, you develop an understanding and you learn to feel it. Here are some guidelines. Listen to someone. Try to reconcile this with what you're hearing. Rhythmic expression is so important to sounding good. It's far more important than the notes and melodies and chords. Don't neglect it. Take some time to actively think about it. Be intentional about everything you do in music. Otherwise, you're going for an accident. End rant. Okay, I hope you found this video helpful. I have a new video out every Thursday. This one was heavy. They're not always this heavy. As you may know, I teach private guitar and music lessons over Zoom to students around the world. If you like the way I think and talk about music and you think you may want to take lessons, feel free to reach out to me. I always like hearing from people either way. With that, thank you for watching as always, and I will see you next week.